Okay, hi there. We are going to proceed to chapter 4, part 2. Okay, so now we are going to go to the third sub-content, which is the problem solving process. Okay, so in problem solving process, actually we are going to learn about, the first one is the problem solving environment. The second one, what are the basic elements of the problem? And the third one is the problem solving abilities, and lastly is steps in problem solving. So for this chapter 4 part 2, we are going to learn about the problem solving environment, the basic elements of the problem, and lastly is the problem solving abilities. And we are going to learn about the steps in problem solving in chapter 4 part 3. Okay, so let's go for the first one, the problem solving environment. So it includes the condition, environment or conditions surrounding the problem and the specific factors directly involved in this situation, in its solution. So the principal features are two, which is the multicultural background and the human's attitude. So this is referring to the callers and killing, page 60 and 61. So let's proceed to one by one. What is multicultural background and what is a human attitudes? Okay, so the first one in the problem solving environment is the multicultural background. So it's our multicultural background plays important role in problem solving. So person born and reared in rural areas develop values very different from people stay in the city. And then the ethnic group with widely different backgrounds bring widely different attitude and values to the workplace. So this is the first what we call problem solving environment. Okay. The second one is the human attitude itself. Okay, so our diverse cultural backgrounds are responsible for developing attitudes that each of us bring to our job. So the first one is our attitude toward ourselves, and the second one is our attitude toward other workers, people around us, and also our attitude toward the work itself, toward our task, toward our job. Okay, so attitude are difficult to change. Yes, this is correct. And the most common and serious human attitude in problem solving is resistant to change, or in other words, reluctant to change. You do not want to change. Okay. For example, that a great idea for some firms, but not for us. We've never done in the way, and etc. This is example. Okay. So we have done for the first problem solving environment, which is the multicultural background and the human attitude. Next one, we are going to proceed to the second two in the topic of a problem solving process, which is the basic elements of the problem. What are the basic elements of the problem? So you need to know the principal elements causing problems in the office are 6. The first one is the human resources itself. So for example, it's including the decision maker responsible for solving the problem. So for example, the AOM is responsible to solve the problem, to make a decision on how to solve the problem. Okay. Number 2 is the space in which the office work is done. Number 3 is the machine and equipment. Number 4 is the time. Time is required for completing the work, or in other words, we have the Gantt chart or the duration, how long we are going to complete the work. And the next one is systems and procedures, that we are going to use the system or the procedure on how we are going to perform our work. And lastly is the resources that include the capital, the physiological environment, and the information available for performing the work. Okay. And the next one is the problem solving process, is what we call another element of the problem. So most problem show that the present conditions fail to meet the condition desired. For example, you are going to attend class at 8 a.m. but you fail to come to the class at 8 a.m. Maybe you are late, Why? Because you are late. Maybe you woke up late again and repeat. For example, maybe your alarm is not working. Okay, this is what we call present condition fail to meet the condition desired. Your condition is desire is you're going to attend the class at 8 a.m. and the present condition you attend the class at 8:30 a.m. Okay, so the problem solver must determine the extent of the differences, and you need to understand the nature of the problem before that understanding can be turned into action. Okay, and therefore a systematic approach to solving problem is required. Okay, so your condition desire is you want to attend the class at 8 a.m. but suddenly the present condition you wake up late at 8:30. So what are the action you need to be taken to make sure that you attend the class at 8 a.m. Make sure your alarm is working. You wake up earlier than you expected and you attend the class earlier, not at 8 a.m. maybe 10 to 15 minutes before the class started. Okay, so the next one, another basic element of the problem that is related for what we have learned before is what we call the present condition and the condition desired. So this one, in other words, we call it as the present state or the desired state. Okay, so we are going to go in detail to one by one. What is the present state and what is the desired state? So the present state. So present state is a problem to be solved, can be viewed as a state or condition that requires improvement or obtain valid information on a subject about which information is lacking. So these are example of the present state in current office problem. So the first one is the low morale of key office workers, unequal distribution of work within the office. Number 3 is difficulties in accessing records requested from the electronic file. Number 4, workers bored by so-called dull paper filing tasks. Number 5, too much work for the size of the staff. And the next one is inability of supervisor to delegate tasks. And lastly is the lack of coordination by the office manager regarding the various functions under his or her jurisdiction. So these are the present state or the current office problem. Okay, so we are going to go you need to know all these example of the current office problem. Okay, and we are going to compare what are the desired state. Okay, so the desired state or condition of an office operation is described in the statements of objective, goals, or expected outcomes toward which all office work is directed. So example of general objective, for example, number 1 is you are going to increase the productivity. And the second one, when you are going to increase the productivity, you are going to reduce the office expenses. And lastly is you are going to decrease the absenteeism. Okay, in order to be useful, such general objective must be converted into more specific objective. Okay, for example, for the first one is you are going to increase productivity. How you are going to increase productivity? Number 2, reduce office expenses. How you are going to reduce the office expenses? It's not specific, it's just a general one. And the third one is decrease absenteeism. How you are going to make sure that your employees come to work. Okay, so these are example of the specific objective. So in increased productivity, the example are increasing productivity of customers billing by 10% without a corresponding increase in employees. Number 2, you are going to reduce the office expenses. So reducing office overtime expenses by 25%. And lastly, you want to decrease the absenteeism. So you are going to decrease the absenteeism in the computer center by 5%. Okay, so this is what we call the example of a general and specific objective for the desired state. Okay, the next basic elements. Okay, if you realize, we have the first basic element is the first basic element is the this one, okay, the principal element causing problem. Okay, the second basic element you need to know is the present state and desired state. And the next basic element of the problem is the controllable factors. What are the factors that can we control? And the second one is uncontrollable factors. What are the factors is cannot be controlled by us? Okay, so what are the controllable factors? The first one is selection of workers. We can control on how we are going to select the new workers. We can control the work delegated. Okay, as a supervisor, you can control the delegation of the work wisely. And number 3 is the procedures to design for performing the work. And the next controllable factor is what type of machine to buy. Okay, for example, you have a new product or a new product in your company, and you need to know what are the machine used or required for you to complete that new product. Okay, so this is the 4 items in the controllable factors. So the 4 factors in controllable. Okay, and another 3 uncontrollable factors are the working hour by top management. Okay, so most of the organization, their working hours is 8 hours. So this is not what we call controllable. We cannot set our working hour is from 9 a.m. We cannot set at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or we are going to work 8 p.m. or 12 a.m. Okay, so the working hours set by top management. So most of the organization, their working hours is 8 hours, maybe start from 8 to 9 a.m. And then uncontrollable factors is the policies required to follow when purchase any machine. Okay, this is standardized. Okay, and also the employee salary. So you cannot control the salary. Salary is usually for government servant, the employees, the salaries is stated or is set out by the government. Okay. Okay, so we have completed the the basic elements of the problem. So now we are going to continue on the problem solving abilities. So the problem solver needs to have both knowledge of the problem and a broad background concerning its possible causes. Okay, so an effective problem solver need to have these 3 types of human abilities. Okay, the first one, you need to be creative. The second one, you need to have a logical ability, and the third one, you need to have intuitive ability. Okay, so this one is referring to the Collins and Killing page 63 and 65. So we are going to proceed on one by one in detail what are the 3 types of human abilities that include creative, logical ability and intuitive ability. So okay, so we are going to continue. The first one is the creative. Creativity is our ability to apply imagination or a unique solution to a problem. So the creative office worker is one who can develop useful ideas for solving a problem. So what are the techniques to develop creative solution? So there are 4. The first one is the brainstorming. The second one is idea quote. Okay, the third one is the force relationship. Okay, number 2 is the quota, and lastly is the nominal group technique, or also known as NGT. So these are the 4 technique to develop creative solution. Okay, so we are going to discuss after this one by one in detail. What are brainstorming, what is idea quota, what is the force relationship, and what is NGT. Okay, so the first one is brainstorming. Okay, I'm going to set it here. Okay, so brainstorming is a group technique for creating a large quantity of ideas by freewheeling contribution made without criticism. So you just give your idea, a lot of idea, it doesn't matter, and then we have a lot of possible idea or solution from a group of what we call a group of a few people. Okay, so you need to know 4 rules. There are 4 rules to be followed in brainstorming. The first one is defer judgment. Okay, this is initially the group does not stop to decide whether the ideas are worthwhile or not. You just give your idea. Okay, number 2, free will. Okay, free will without consent for the ideas of other. It doesn't matter if your idea is the same with other people. Just you give your ideas, and do not wait for an idea to come, but rather develop another idea. And lastly, the 4th rule is you aim for the quality of ideas as a goal. Okay, so you need to know what is the definition of brainstorming, and you need to know what are the 4 rules to be followed in brainstorming. The next one. Okay, I'm not sure what happened to my slide. Okay, the second one is idea, what we call idea quota, and also forced relationship. So what is the definition of idea quota and what is forced relationship? Idea quota is another technique for stimulating the creation of ideas in which a fixed number of new ideas is required in a stated period of time. So, for example, 5 ways to reduce proofreading errors in 1 minute. So, in 1 minute, you need to come up with 5 ways to reduce the proofreading errors. This is what we call idea quota. Okay, and last, the third one is the forced relationship. So, forced relationship requires problem solvers to consider in a new way something that is already known. Okay, for example, what we call a way to solve that problem, but you need to look another way to solve the same problem. Okay, this is what we call forced relationship. And last one is the nominal group technique, or NGT. So this is as useful for solving problems related to office productivity improvement. So participants work alone, silently, in small, no interaction group of 5 to 9%. So it usually between 5 to 9 people in a group. Okay, you writing with possible solution through the idea guided by the facilitator. Members read the idea aloud without criticism or discussion. Ideas are recorded, discussed, and clarified as needed. Then participants individually and silently read all alternative solutions in priority order. Okay, so this is what we call the nominal group technique. Okay, I think you have done this one. You come up with the idea, read, and then you discuss, and then you give a rate or you rate that idea. Okay, and last one. For the what we call technique is the logical the second one is logical ability. The first one is creative, the second one is logical ability, and the last one is intuitive ability. So number 2, logical ability is the creativity and logic work together in the difficult task of a problem solving. Okay, so the effective use of logic requires us to collect relevant current facts, to use them in orderly, unbiased way, and to reason in a systematic, analytical manner with an open mind to solve the problem. Okay, this is what we call logical ability. Okay, logic and creative work together. And the last one is the intuitive ability. So, intuitive ability is stressed by experienced managers, or is made up of intuition, the emotional feelings and judgment that managers develop based on long years of experience using methods that have worked well for them. Okay, this is what we call intuitive ability. Okay, so the working duration in their words, the experience is one of the what we call the factors that lead to the intuitive ability. So by using fewer people to make decisions than the logical, systematic problem solvers, intuitive thinkers can solve quickly to consider more simplified solution than other types of problem solver. So they run the risk of ignoring and failing to consider all aspects of the problem. Okay, so this is the last one is intuitive ability. So that's it for chapter 4 part 2, and we are going to continue after this in chapter 4 part 3. Okay.